Thank you, white lady.
Yo, what's good? Welcome to Counter Currents. This is your host, Petey Steele.
And Elena Torres. We are not Counter Currents anymore. We're the Arlington Drafthouse podcast.
Oh, shit. Did I still say that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't done it enough times.
It's okay. It's the same people, the same format. We just did a little bit of a rebrand for you guys. So if you're new, welcome to the Arlington Drafthouse podcast. If you've been here the whole time, which a lot of you guys have, welcome back to the same Counter Currents people, just renamed to the Arlington Drafthouse podcast. Our guest today, very close friend of the podcast, very hilarious comedian.
Even though this is the first time I've been on since the podcast has been together for so long, but not to interrupt your flow or anything. Please continue.
You know what? We'll forget the intro. Randolph Terrance, everybody.
Hey, everybody. I'm a close friend. First time on this podcast has existed for years now.
Yeah.
I'm a close friend.
Yeah, first time on the this is
not you were on with Andy that time.
Yeah, not true. This is not your first time. This is, I think, your at least second, maybe even third.
So many podcasts. I don't remember. Are you sure?
Wow.
I remember right after the pandemic, it was the four of us, me, you, Elena, and Andy.
I will bring the proof up right now. You've been on at least one other time.
Pre-pandemic. Okay. All right. Because listeners, they've been on me and Andy's podcast multiple times. Elena just recorded the drop
at last count. Yep, yeah. For me, that's right.
Elena just recorded a matter of fact, I feel like Petey is mentioned in the theme song.
Yeah. In fact, I think I am, unless they switched it up on me.
Yeah, one of them. We got like 4 theme songs in rotation now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we got like 4 theme songs. We got 3 theme songs for the Woke Files, and like 4 for the regular one.
Nice.
The regular pod. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I did a little pimp voice for the last episode. You told me that.
Did she tell you about that?
No. Go ahead.
She did Kenny Red's monologue.
Get out.
Yeah, we're using it. We use it Saturday. People, they always loved it.
Oh, as a white lady, like a white suburban lady.
I rewrote it a little differently for her, and then she recorded 3 of them.
So, Elena, did you do the "Hey bitch, hey bitch"?
Yeah.
I did all of it.
That's perfect. I've been doing that for years, and I had no idea. I feel a little bit intruded upon, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, we wanted it to be a white lady. It can't be one of us to do it. So we were like, we have been talking about something, and somebody in the chat was like, Elena's right there. I was like, that's right. So I reached out to Elena. We were like, who can we get to say this? The first choice was the person who lives in my house who's related to me by marriage. But she was like, I'm not doing that. So I was like, okay, well.
I said yes in 2 seconds. I was like,
yeah.
Hey.
So then, you know what I have to ask? Was she the first mother to publicly denounce Mother's Day?
I think so.
Yeah, she got a baby too, but she got a pip to pay too.
You know what we need? We need a Ann Wolf drop.
Oh, shit.
You're good with that one. I gotta find that one and get later.
Oh yeah. Well, if ifs, ands, and buts was candy, cherries, and nuts, we'd all be Merry Christmas, but it ain't. I didn't like to see him laying down like that on the fucking ground, but you got to be prepared to fight or else lay down with your nuts in the air. Which would you choose? Point blank, period.
Ann Wolf is one of the few women boxing trainers in the game. Fantastic. She's fantastic. Just listen to her talk. I just sent you some of those clips. I figure out how to do that.
Hell no, he ain't reached that point yet. You think a slave that didn't want to pick the cotton just got up and said, no, you got to set your mind to fight.
Ann Wolf, yeah, she had a small part in Wonder Woman.
Oh yeah,
the first one, yeah, the first one, the good one, because the second one is.
I was gonna say that's a great movie.
The first one, she was one of her trainers. There's a scene where she hits this trainer with a staff in the back, and she just turns around and looks at her. That's Ann Wolf. Because they brought in all these athletes to be the Amazons.
Wow.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that movie.
I might actually see a superhero movie if that's the case.
It's actually good. Wonder Woman is good.
Wonder Woman, the first one is good. And I'm not a superhero movie person, but that's a great one.
The extended cut of the Justice League with Wonder Woman and Batman, they said it's like 4 hours. The Josh, I guess what's his name? Zack Snyder? Is that his name? Josh, am I saying it right? I don't know. The guy who does who does the DC movies that are terrible. He had this long vision in his head of like this 4 hour epic movie, and he presented that. Then they cut it down into this terrible like hour and a half, 2 hour movie. But then he released a 4 hour extended cut, and it's good. It's long as shit. And it's 4 hours. I broke it up into watchings, but it's a lot different. It's way more darker. It's a lot darker. It's a lot of.
I like that.
Wonder Woman cuts a head off. She don't cut heads off in movies, but she just cuts a dude's head off.
There we go.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was a lot better.
I'll check that out.
Yeah, you ain't gonna watch.
I'm a little bit OD on the Marvel superhero DC. I'm kind of like I'm OG, and I feel like I'm not alone. I can't anymore.
Really? Are you like Jessica Lange talking shit?
Is Jessica Lange talking a lot of shit?
Yeah, she is.
She was talking shit last week about how Marvel movies are just cash. She doesn't believe in Marvel movies because they're just cash grabs, and she believes in the art. She believes in the art of the movie. I'm like, really, bitch? You made King Kong in 1976. Did you do that for the artistic merits of the movie, or?
I was gonna say, I mean, calling it most movies are cash grabs at this stage. You know,
I haven't seen Jessica Lange in nothing since Cape Fear. I don't think.
The last thing I remember seeing her in was
she did American Horror Story, right?
I don't watch that. I'm sure. I bet she
got an
did.
Emmy for that. I think.
I bet she did. Well, after that, she did. So Louis has the thing on his website, Horace and Pete. It's like Louis, Steve Buscemi, Alan Alda. She has a part in it. Edie Falco plays Louis' sister in it. You had to buy it from his website. This was before Louis was
I was gonna say that's from a while ago.
Before he had his troubles.
Yeah.
You can buy from his website for $1. You can buy from the website for $1, and it was very well done. It was very well acted. And a lot of really good actors in it.
That's right.
And she was in that. That came after the Emmy thing, though, because I remember him saying he either ran into her at an Emmy or he ran into Edie Falco at an Emmy, and asked him, "Would you like to be in this thing?" And they were like, "Yeah, some of the script."
I'm looking at her IMDb. Let's see some of the latest that she's done. 1949. Okay.
What is that?
That's for the year she was born.
Oh, okay. I thought that was like a movie. I was like,
known for filmography. Oh, she was in The Politician. I like that. Did you guys see that?
No.
On Netflix. There was same guy who does. Why can't I think of his name? Ryan, who does American Horror Story. The guy who did Glee and everything.
I miss Glee. Sorry.
What's his name? Wow, I'm really embarrassed right now. Anyway, Ryan Murphy.
Yeah.
Ryan Murphy likes her.
Nice. Randolph, what have you been doing lately? I hear some rumors about a script of sorts.
Yeah, I'm writing on Drafthouse podcast. It's a podcast from Michael Harriot. It's a history podcast. It's called Drafthouse. The great Michael Harriot, the dean of Black Twitter is what we call him. He started this history project, and I got brought in on that. So that's been a lot of writing, where I write. We take a historical thing, we write a script. One of the first ones I brought in was a guy named Charlie Case. He's the first Black stand-up comic nobody knows about. He started in the time of vaudeville. Black man, obviously. He was the first one to stand on stage and tell jokes, just jokes, not monologue. He was a contemporary of Mark Twain.
Wow.
But Mark Twain just did monologues. He didn't do jokes. This guy just did jokes. Stood up and just told jokes.
Cool.
That was the first one I was brought in on. And then there's been, there's one called The Kissing is called Robert Smalls. Let me pull up the, you can, by the way, people, if you want to listen to these, you can get them anywhere you get your podcasts. It's Draptomaniacs. DRAP, Drape, T-O, Maniacs, MANIAX.
Drapetomaniacs.
Draptomaniacs.
What's Drapto?
It's funny you should ask that. Drapetomania was the disease that was coined by a man named Adolphus Wright, I believe was his name. I should know this. I've said it so many times. It was in the 1800s. Drapetomania was a disease that made Black people run away from slavery. Black people were running away from slavery. There had to be something wrong with them because that was their natural state, was to be in slavery. So they had drapetomania. That's the disease.
No way.
Drapetomania. Yeah. So drapetomaniacs are black people who want to live as fully formed human beings. Should have worn my shirt. Drapetomaniacs.
Wow. I didn't know that.
That's crazy.
Manipulative and fucked up. I mean, not that everything with slavery isn't, but like details like that are what fucked me up. I did not know that.
So there's been like 14 now. You have Afina Shakur on trial, How to Get Away with Drapetomania. Robert Williams in The Kissing Case, featuring Bob the Drag Queen. That one I did a lot of work on. Robert Williams was the premise of that one was that they always say that the struggle for civil rights was largely peaceful and we shall overcome, and it was just, peace, and it wasn't. There was a lot of people who were straight up, let's go to war. Robert Williams was one of them. This was in 1955. This wasn't very long ago. He died in the 80s. He died in the early 80s, I believe, of old age. Two boys, 9-year-old boys, were arrested because a white girl their age kissed them on the cheek. So this town in North Carolina, they arrested these young boys, and they broke them out of jail. They broke them out of jail and then basically faced off a whole town. He had organized a whole brigade of ex-military Black people in the town, plus the women, where everybody was armed, and they went to blows. So we told the story through, because all these are history podcasts, but we set them in different places. This one we did it through a story hour in a library.
Cool.
So it was supposed to be story hour in libraries. We had kids in this one, kids star in it. And somewhere along the way, we decided it was going to be a drag story hour in the library, drag queen story hour in the library. So we brought in Bob the Drag Queen, an actual drag queen. Yeah, we bring in people we have different guest stars. Like a couple of them have had stars like Roland Martin, Nina Weber, and Brian Forte, Damon Young, JL jumped on one. Malcolm Jamar Warner, Tiffany Cross was on one.
Malcolm, what's Malcolm been up to aside from that? I haven't heard his name.
Not much. Charlemagne did one.
Huh.
Came on stage was Charlie Case. And Monet, Roy Wood jumped on one. Roy Wood and Joy Reid on one, because they're all friends. So when we write them, we don't really know who's going to be casting the characters. Mm-hmm. It was a team of about 6 of us. We meet in writing rooms every day and talk about it. Mm-hmm. Try to work it out.
Nice.
Yeah, I just got a little bit of money from one the other day, as a matter of fact. One that I just written on, It's nice to hear my name in the credits. My name is in the credits on every episode. It's nice. I'm not gonna lie and say it's not. It is. It is.
Yeah.
So as Elena knows, I've been working on screenwriting, something like that.
No, you deserve it. It's a lot of work, I imagine.
Yeah, one script I put 18 hours into.
Yeah.
And when once I get a deadline, I seem to write better when I have a deadline.
Same.
Yeah.
Same. I think that's super important. I make people give me deadlines, even if they're like, "What do you want?" I'm like, "No, you tell me. Give me a day, because if not,
you need this." Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah. If you just leave, I've been working on this thing for Kevin Hart that I was going to write about not for Kevin Hart, about Kevin Hart. And I can't seem to get my ass to the seat to write it. I'm like, what's on television? I need to just sit down and write this thing,
Yeah, that's all it is a lot of times, and it never fucking ends, but it's the same thing when you're doing like mental health work. You tell people you can't really think your way into a way of acting. You got to act your way into a way of thinking.
Right.
And you just get going. It doesn't have to be a masterpiece. It won't be the first 10 strokes, but then, you hit that rhythm and boom, you're going.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to do. So I just did a podcast with an author, D.L. White, who lives in Atlanta, who's she's a romance novelist. She's written quite a few romance novels, and we talked about writing processes and getting to the chairs and stuff like that. What do you have to do?
Some people work with partners forever just for that, just for accountability. Like there's tons of people that are like, hey, let's just meet in a coffee shop every Tuesday at this time. Tell me what you're working on, because I feel like that's the hardest part in writing, because it's not structured time. Well,
her thing was like, you just may not be the person who can say, I'm going to sit down now and do it. It could just be right when you write.
Yeah.
Right when you write, or you don't when you don't. If you don't have it, if you're not on the deadline. If you're on the deadline, that's different. You have to. But if you're on a deadline, then we
Yeah. I think most people deadlines is what works. I mean, there's special cases. I had this book that was pretty good called Daily Rituals, about like I think 50 to 100 famous artists, a lot of writers, but playwrights and then directors and people like that. And they talked about their daily routines. And most of them don't even differ that much. They work on a straight schedule. I mean, it's deadlines not really imposed by others, but even just amongst themselves. And they take it to heart, and it gets to be pretty boring, but they get it done.
Yeah.
And I find like using any kind of prompts is helpful too. Like PD, actually something you sent me, I use to write a lot, especially with stand-up jokes, but even for other things, the Gary Goldman Twitter tips that he did.
Yeah, great.
He does say like at some point, because to Randolph's point, there are days where it's just like, it's just not in me right now. Like I scheduled the time, but it's just not in me. And sometimes it's just like, just put something on there and set a timer, and don't go on your phone, and don't go on YouTube, and just like put something on. And then, about half the time it'll lead to something productive.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Even if you just give yourself 20 minutes. Where have you found that you're writing best?
As location wise?
Just in general, like what times a day, what's the most inspiring, like where?
I don't think there's a right here is where I write on this laptop sitting right here. I don't think there's a time of day or anything like that. That doesn't particularly if I have a deadline, it doesn't matter. Wherever I'm at. When I was writing for television, I had to have everything on a certain time. The day was very regimented. It started at 12, ended at 6. I need to have everything in by 4, somewhere in the 4:30 range. Everything had to be in by 4. So, and that was a whole 400 to 600 word essay on whatever thing. So if I have to do a lot of research for it or stuff like that, it doesn't matter. I got to get it all in. Yeah. So, and I would do that sitting on my bed sometimes with a lap desk, or sitting in the living room maybe, or upstairs. Doesn't matter. That doesn't bother. It doesn't matter. I can sit down anywhere and start writing. It doesn't matter. Whether it be longhand or with a laptop, it doesn't.
For me, it always takes me like a minute to get in the zone. Like if I'm gonna sit, it's like, all right, I gotta give myself like a good 30 minutes, just like sitting where I am now in my little office room in front of my desk. Like it's gonna take me like a good 30 minutes to actually focus. Like let me get out of the way. Like there's always some bill or some shit on my desk that I gotta solve. Like I gotta solve something to like clear out my space, and then I can do it.
Yeah, if you wrote on a show, like an everyday thing, you wouldn't have any problems because you have your production meeting at 12. It's at 12 o'clock every day. It was at 12 o'clock every day, Monday through Friday. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
You got to meet the production meeting first. You know, it was a Zoom call, so we're all on a Zoom call talking. That's over at 12:30, and then you start. You know, and then you could, you know, plan out how long it's going to take you to do this, how long it's going to take you to do that, and then you're on your own, which I liked. You know, there's not. I had to run up to the store right quick. I can run up to the store, the cleaners or whatever. I'm writing in my head as I'm doing these things. And when I sit down, I just start. Or if I don't have anything going on, I can just jump right in. You know, but it's that I think that that production meeting was the one to get going part.
Yeah, that like got your brain in the mode.
Yes, sitting in the production meeting talking about it.
Speaking of production meetings, what do you guys think? Okay, the strike's over now. How do you think some of these like late night shows and stuff are going to look after 5 months off? Do you think they're going to just come back and be? I don't
think it's going to be a problem. I think it's going to pick right back up. I watched a little bit of Kimmel the other day. Just this morning, he had Lunel on. And it's the same. It's right back. It's right back to it. You know, it's right back to it. I don't think you can have any. The way the nature of things are is like you got to hit the ground running.
Yeah.
You know, everybody knows how the show knows how. Everybody knows how the show is done, so it's not like you have to relearn how to do everything. Everything knows how the show is done. You just plug back in and start doing it again.
You just got to get paid to do it. That's it.
Yeah. And most of
I just wonder from a business perspective if they're going to get any if people are not going to come back to watch it.
No,
they're going to be like, are we going to get rid of them?
No, people are going to watch.
Like, what's the Daily Show going to do? They don't have a host yet.
That's different though. They don't have a host.
Something else.
Yeah, that's a different thing.
That's a problem because they wanted Hassan, but now with that whole thing, that ain't going to happen.
Yeah,
we're talking Roy, about that. For real.
The obvious choice is
Roy did so good on his week that he had to host it. Roy was great.
Well, in my opinion, and Andy's opinions too, I think I can speak for anyone I say this. They just don't want to have another black host. They don't want it to be seen as a black show. So they're not going to bring in another black host, even though he's obviously the most talented and the most qualified. But they do want to have a brown host. So it was going to be Hassan, even though he already had a show that didn't do well.
Yeah.
He had a show that didn't do well. Roy hasn't had a show yet of his own. The obvious choice is to bring in Roy. It's the obvious.
He's great. I feel like everybody, he's so likable. Like, he's so funny. I mean, he's been in this game for years. Like, he was so easy to watch. Like,
don't want it to be a black show. You can't have another black host because it'll be a black show. Can't have that. Can't have that. Now, in the meantime, if it was two white dudes, nobody would care. So you go from one white guy to another white guy, nobody cares. No one even says those questions. But those metrics are factored into a decision-making process. And anybody who says it's not is lying to you. They're not telling the truth. Because it doesn't make any sense. So Roy doing the power move and being like, well, I'm out.
That's what he did. That's what Roy did. Roy did say, he said, I'm not coming back. Where it's like, you know.
Power is a straight power move. And we'll see if somebody else offers him something.
They have to. I mean, he's too good.
If I'm another spin network, I offer him a talk show.
How could you not?
Immediately, I offer him a talk show. You know, if I'm MSNBC, I offer him a talk show. You can do what you do on that. Do it late night on our network. We don't have comedy shows. We do now. We do now. Now we do.
Hire Ralph Cooper, damn it.
Yeah. He just may. He just may. Bring him in as a writer.
He was on there for, God, so long, that job fair, like my people at the trading card and auction house I work at were playing that. And I heard his voice one day. I said, what's going on? And he said, oh, yeah, we watch Roy's job fair here every day or every other one. I was like, wow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or Roy could just go and do his own thing on YouTube and see what he can do.
He could do his own thing on YouTube.
That's always an option.
Enough of a following now. He has enough of a following. He's good enough.
Yeah. That's always an option.
Yeah.
What else you got, baby? What else you got for me today?
What else we got for you?
Yeah, what you got for me? You don't have questions for me, girl?
Of course we have questions for you. What do you what are you looking forward to? Because I feel like you've been through a lot of phases in your comedy career, right? And now you're in a writing phase. What are you looking forward to in your career as a writer, performer, entertainer?
Making money.
There you go. That's the answer.
Figuring out how to make money. Yeah, monetizing things is on a serious note, is how to figure out how to monetize the things that you're doing. A lot of us just fall ass backwards into things.
Yeah.
Is there a way to actually monetize your products without not doing what you want to do? We know all three of us know people who are very successful, like podcasts or this or that, and you ask them, how'd you get that? And they're like, I don't know.
Yep.
Well, I don't know. That's my focus, is how do I get to the, and that's focus number one.
That's a very hard thing to do in this game that a lot of people don't realize is, you can get a lot, you can look like you're doing comedy a lot, like you're doing a lot of shows, but there does become a point where it's like, how do you really monetize it? And especially when you're doing it in an independent way, like, I also think that old school way of monetizing also doesn't make sense anymore. It's like, oh, okay, you do comedy, then you get a spot on a late night show, and that either you get your own sitcom or you get cast on something like Saturday Night Live or The Daily Show or something, or you write for one of those shows. And it's just not how it works anymore. Right. I'm in the same boat. I'm trying to figure out, I've got 2 kids, and it's also figuring out like, okay, what am I doing here?
Yeah. And that's where I'm at, is basically, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
Still trying to pursue stand-up. It's still the thing. Stand-up is the thing that has got me to this point. Everything has gotten because of stand-up, but I don't do stand-up nearly as much. Ever since the pandemic, we pulled away, I haven't really been doing stand-up the way I was.
Me neither.
So,
how often are you doing stand-up?
Lately, I've been trying to go. Well, it's another thing. When the show ended at the beginning of the year, so the show ended January 15th. The shows get canceled. That's what happens. My whole scheduling shifted. So I wasn't able to do stand-up in the evening anymore because I was working. I went to work on other shows, and I was working from 3 to 9. So that was it. And there was no way I could get to a spot before 9:30, 10 o'clock. So there's no way I could do a show from 3 to 9. It was over. I couldn't do anything. So for all those months, I didn't do any stand-up because I couldn't. I would do occasional a spot here, spot there, but consistently, no. As soon as the show ended, I started making it a point to go out during the week and do a couple of spots, make myself available and do a couple of spots during the week just to see how it felt. Everything seems to be coming back online. The getting on stage will never be hard for me. That's easy. Right. I can stand on stage and just talk for 15, 20 minutes and just be on stage. That's easy. You have to be having reps and doing the jokes over and over and over. And that's been the problem.
Yeah.
Part of that is being motivated to go out and do it. Now, there are a couple of things I've decided I'm not going to do anymore. Like I opened for, speaking of the Drafthouse, last thing I did, I opened for Jay Jordan, who's at the Drafthouse a couple months ago. And I said, let me book myself to do an opening spot for him, And when I was done, I was like, I won't do this.
Open at all?
No, not in that capacity. No, I'll middle, but to go in and be in that, because it's a 2-man show.
Yeah. Well, that spot, by the way, I think that's the hardest spot in comedy. Yeah. The host feature combo spot. Yeah. That's a very difficult spot.
Yeah, I won't do it anymore. And I can do it. Of course I can do it. I just won't do it. I won't do it anymore.
For those people that don't know what it is, if you're listening, so usually on a basic comedy show, there's 3 comedians on a show. Like when you go to a weekend at a comedy club, there's a host, which is someone who does like 10 minutes at the beginning and they're kind of talking to the audience and they're just kind of warming you up while the servers are asking for your order and bringing you drinks. And then you have a warm-up comic, which is the feature, which has someone who's doing anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes. and that person is just doing comedy and getting you used to the idea of comedy. And then your headliner comes up who does an hour, who's usually the person on the marquee that you're there to see. But some clubs have an opening spot, which isn't host or feature, it's both. So it's just one person and then your headliner. And in my opinion, that spot, that host feature spot, is the hardest spot to do in comedy. But from doing those spots, at least I can say, like, that's made me get better quicker than any other spot.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Because I think with that, you have to do warm-up stuff, but then you also have to do some of your material.
Correct. And you might have material that's not ready for the spot. And so you have to get like, and you might not be the kind of comic who's like ready to host, and by ready to host, I mean, who's good at hosting, who's good at going up to a cold room. And it's different than a host, because it's like, okay, you warm them up a little bit, but then you leave fast enough where they're like, oh, I can see comedy now, and now I can digest someone who's here as a comedian, not as my MC. Which
here's the thing that as someone who books comics also, when we were booking 3-man shows, and I used to hear this a lot. Look, when I started back in the old days, when I started doing comedy, you had to, first of all, a host set was 15 minutes, middle set was 30, and a headline set was 45. That was standard.
Wow.
The week ran Tuesday through Sunday. One show on Tuesday, one show Tuesday through Thursday, 2 on Friday, 2 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday.
So a comic would come and tour a place for a week?
8 shows. You'd be there for
no way.
Yeah, you'd get there on, maybe you get there on Tuesday, maybe you leave on Monday morning.
Was this up here or just in Texas?
This was standard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I started in Texas. That was industry standard. Yeah.
So when you toured, so they were making way more money then too, I imagine.
No.
No?
Not way more money. Because the money hasn't changed. I've been doing stand-up over 20 years. The money for spots hasn't changed at all. It's been the same amount of money since probably before I was doing stand-up,
That's what I've heard, but that's what I mean. If you were doing 8 shows, you had to be making more money because you're doing more shows.
Okay.
$100.
It ain't easy though.
Yeah, $100 back then is a lot.
800. Yeah, you get $800 as opposed to $500.
But it's volume.
Yeah, but then you got to pay for your travel. But you're traveling more. You got to pay for your travel. You got to pay for your food, shit like that.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. A tour date, a whole week long tour date. That's hard.
Yeah, and you're in a town for a whole week. But what you wanted to do was do 3 of those a month. That's what you wanted to do. Or you could do like a cat I know, Eddie Gosling, who he just would live with his parents. He was living with his parents. He wasn't really living there. He was touring a lot. So he just had his mail sent there to his parents' house. But he bought a car. He bought a Ford Taurus because he used to do a joke about it. My friends call it the clitoris. He said he bought this Ford Taurus and he just put hundreds of thousands of miles on it. What you would do is you would buy a car and just put hundreds of thousands of miles. Hundreds of thousands.
Wow.
Driving around. I put a lot of miles on. I had a Hyundai. Put a lot of miles on my Hyundai. Physically driving around Texas doing stand-up. So when I hear people say now, at some point it became, I guess I'm not just a host. I'm a feature. I'm not a host because I don't have host energy. I'm like, you should shut the fuck up and learn how to be a host. What it is you don't like to host. Okay? You don't like to host, so that's your excuse out. Well, I just don't have host energy. Well, fuck you. Learn how to be a host.
Well, hosting is also really hard.
Yes, exactly.
And a lot of people don't like to do things that are hard. Hosting is really hard. And the longer I do comedy, the more I respect hosting. So I'm like, that shit is hard.
You know how long I hosted before I got my first feature spot in an A room? 4 years.
Yeah.
4 years of hosting. Okay. And the club I started at, you would get to host once every quarter. So every year you got to host 4 times. 4 times a year. 4 times a year. For early quarter, middle quarter, second quarter, fall quarter. You know, every 3 months you got a hosting spot. Every 3 months you got a hosting spot. You know, and you learn how to, and we did a weekend show, much the same way I ran the model for the weekend show we used to do at the Drafthouse. We copied from them. That came from me, from how we used to do the show in San Antonio. And to put together, you have the B block, a nice strong A block, another B block, and then a C block, rather than just whoever comes and signs up. You see how it works. The show builds momentum and gets a life. as opposed to I'm gonna put this great comic up and then this terrible comic, another terrible comic, a mediocre comic, and then maybe another great comic. So I learned a lot about it in San Antonio, how to run a show. Did that every Saturday night for 4 years too. Every Saturday night for 4 years before I got my first middle spot. Now I did spots all around the city, little bars and stuff, and you go to Eagle Pass or Laredo or Uvalde or something like that, or did a lot of those spots. Eagle Pass, like that bar in Desperado.
Yeah, I do.
I performed in that bar. I performed at that bar. Yeah, that was their claim to fame. This was the bar at the beginning of Desperado where he was
hilarious.
Like,
of course.
We know.
By the way, the comedy show that's there now on Tuesdays is probably called like Despalafos.
Yeah, something stupid like that. Yeah. All those. Like I've told you, Elena, you would have loved it because it was all these Eagle Pass, Carrizo Springs, Laredo, Del Rio. You go the other way. If you were a real road warrior, you drive your ass to El Paso. It was a long drive across the desert. Lubbock, all those little shit towns. Killeen, the military base in Fort Hood. I did the military base a bunch of times. Killeen and stuff like that. And you drive to Dallas and do the improv in Dallas. Maybe. When Amy moved, because I was living in Austin, me and Amy were both living in Austin. We were just boyfriend, girlfriend. Then she moved to Dallas. I would drive up there on the weekends. And occasionally I would do a spot at the Dallas Improv. So I say all that to say, all that is gone.
Yeah.
All those going and building your chops and stuff like that, all that's gone. I'm not saying it's a bad thing either. Like you hear a lot of old comics saying they don't like the way young comics are coming up. I don't care if you're just a Instagram comic or a Twitter comic or something. You got a following, good. If them people want to give you money to watch you stand up there and do whatever the fuck it is you do, okay, that's fine with me. That's fine. It's fine with me. Are you entertaining them? That's the point.
Right.
On the other side, I feel good when I see a comic like Lunel. I don't know if y'all just seen her special dropped on Netflix.
Oh, I saw a couple clips. I love her. He's amazing. The ending
is Lunel.
Oh, Lunel. Yeah, of course.
The second one now that Chappelle has put money into.
Yeah.
The ending of that is super strong. And you all know how I feel about Earthquake special. It was, man, listen, that Earthquake special. So that gave me hope. They said, okay, here's people that are older than me.
Yeah.
And they're still doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Leanne Morgan. I mean, she just blew up.
I know Leanne Morgan.
You do?
From the circuit.
Really?
That was amazing to me. That when I was like, it's Leanne.
I love it. Like, I love that Netflix made her a star. Like, I love everything that's going on with that. Like, grandma jokes, great.
Yeah, great. But she has a huge fan base because she started touring in the South. So she would come to San Antonio, and I saw her a couple more than once. I would see her. We would kind of run across each other in different places.
And then I'm looking. A great story about being, rejected by the industry again and again. Yeah. I saw like she's done. A lot of people don't know this, but you go to Montreal Just for Laughs, you get in, and some people get stuff from that, but some people fail at it.
There's no reason. There's no guarantee you're going to get anything out of it.
Yeah, she got, she did Montreal for Laughs a couple times, like got nothing out of it. And now she's headlining like the biggest theater on it. I mean, I love to see it.
Yeah. And she's a good comic. She's a good comic, and she's a good person. I don't want to talk to her because I'm afraid now I find out she's MAGA or some shit like that. And be like, oh, we're done. I'm just listening to your accent there. That sounds MAGA. What you doing? But she's a great comic, and she was a great person. Yeah.
Yeah.
But she was just.
I mean, I don't know her, but she seems like, I just love the energy. She just seems like a really nice, like, lady, with kids and grandkids. She's like a nice lady doing comedy. Like, and she's good.
This is what she was then. She was a nice lady who was married. The thing that kind of bound a couple of us together was like I was 29 turning 30 when I started doing stand-up. So I was already more or less an adult.
Yeah.
So I didn't. That's how I became friendly with George Lopez or Gabriel Iglesias or Willie Barcena or somebody like a Leanne or something, because I was already.
You were
It's
a
like
man
I text.
started comedy, like
Yeah, it's
me.
like I texted
Yeah.
you the other night. I texted Elena. I was at some show. I was like, Jesus fucking Christ, he's fucking just all these kids. They're just like their children. It's just next to me. They're literally young enough to be my kids.
Yeah.
So when I'm standing there talking to them, and I don't want to be dismissive of them, but I don't really have anything to talk to you about.
Yeah. God, I know that feeling so well. I know that feeling so well. When you're talking to these comments, you're like, I just can't relate.
Yeah.
Like, they'll tell me something that they're stressed about. I'm not going to tell you what the person said she was stressed about, because you guys are going to know exactly what I'm talking about. Very young. And she like kind of recently was telling me about what she was stressed about in her life. I was like, I can't connect. Like, I can't connect with you.
Yeah. That's how I feel. I'm talking to them. I'm like, and it is different when I'm talking to young Black kids. It's way different than when I'm talking to white kids or young Latin kids. When I'm talking to young black folks doing comedy, it's a complete different energy. But if I'm talking to somebody who's not, and I'm like, I don't really, and I know what you're talking about. I know everything you're going through. I know what I'm talking about.
Well, I know what you mean. I've been doing all these Spanish shows, so I've been around all these Latin comics, and most of them are younger than me.
Yeah.
And some of the ones that I tour with a lot, they're like significantly younger than me, like 10 years.
Yeah.
But they're Venezuelan. And young Venezuelans, like, it's all cool and normal. And then they start talking a little bit about how they got to the United States and like some of the shit that they've been through. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, it is heavier than anything I could imagine.
But you can talk to them about that, though.
Yeah, but like just what they've been through, I was like, oh, this is why I can connect with you, and this is why there's a maturity to you. It's not just cultural, but just like the situation that's brought you to comedy is so different than like, I think Bill Burr is funny and I want to be able to say controversial things on a mic that I can't say anymore.
Right. Yeah, like have you here's a question for you now. Have you learned how to tap into Tia Elena energy on stage yet?
You know what? It comes out by accident. Like my mom side comes out by accident.
You shouldn't do it as an accident. You should learn how to tap into that. Are you doing?
Sometimes I get self-conscious about it. You know, like sometimes I'll get self-conscious that it's not that, oh, I'm coming off too angry, or I'm coming off too, I don't know.
As long as you make it funny.
Yeah.
Petey, do you do Uncle Petey on stage? We haven't done stand-up in a while, but
yeah,
you now have the gravitas where you can pull off an Uncle Petey. Basically, like y'all know, I do. It's people call me Uncle Randolph anyway.
Right.
Uncle, you know.
Sure.
Who's my man that makes the cookies?
Yeah, I mean, I think so, because that's just kind of who I am. So I come to the stage and it's like that. Like, I still get requests to host these things, even though I'm not really active as much. So I know I can do it, and I do it, but it's just right now is not it, you know?
Yeah. Uncle Randolph, I get that a lot, Unc. You know,
sure.
You know, usually, it's usually one of the young Black comics. I don't allow everybody to talk because I don't know everybody like that, but the ones that do. But that is an energy that I've been saying on stage. My opening line has been the last couple of weeks is of, yes, I am a comic. I know I give off a professor of African American Studies vibe, but I'm not. I'm not your professor of African American Studies vibe. I'm actually a comic. Now check that off your syllabus and let's get down to this. Let's get down to this. You know, just because the way I dress, the way I carry myself, you know, I'm generally significantly older than anybody in the audience. Although I did a thing with Leon at the spot he has, and there was a family celebrating, a Black family, and they're celebrating a 50th birthday. That was fantastic.
Oh, perfect.
Because then it was all us, you know.
Perfect for you.
Black family and they're celebrating their 50th birthday. It was fantastic. and every comic did well. This young lady who I'd never seen before, she's a very young girl. I was like, you got no business being that funny. I had to pull her aside. I said, listen, the bomb that's coming your way is going to be huge. Okay, yeah. Don't be afraid of it. Don't see, because you've been doing stand-up for a little bit of while. You're doing this well. That bomb is going to fucking hit you like a wrecking ball.
Oh yeah.
Don't be afraid of it when it hits you. It is what it is. Just brush it off. I said, but trust me, it's going to come. It's going to come.
Oh, who was it? I wonder.
Oh, what is her name? Patty
Mata?
Yes.
Yeah. I like her. You know, she's a
yeah, she's like a minister.
She's a minister. She's a minister.
She was very funny.
Oh, good for her. I haven't seen her full set before, but she's always so nice at Mike. She came up and talked to me, and I followed her on Instagram. I was like, you're a minister? Fuck yeah. So cool.
Yeah, she's very nice, very funny. Then I was watching her, I said, how long have you been doing this? She said, about 6 months. I said, you got no business.
Not long.
I said, you got no business being this funny after 6 months. I can tell you that shit. I said, well,
confident too. She'll come right up to you, talk to you.
Over a congregation or anything like that. I wonder if she has chops in public speaking.
So.
Yeah, probably.
And she's not intimidated by anybody.
Nah.
You know, she's real nice. She'll come up to you, talk to you, but like not intimidated in that like nice, confident way.
Sure.
You know, she'll come up and talk to you.
And then she sent me a Facebook or an Instagram thing saying, thank you so much for telling me that later, like a week later. Mm-hmm. I thought about that and you're right. Thank you so much. I was like, oh, you must have bombed it. You must have done a bomb somewhere at some point. I remember Mitch Hedberg and his wife told me one time, there's me name dropping. Did you catch that name I just threw at you?
Yeah, we caught it. Don't worry about it.
In Austin, I did a guest spot on one of his shows. It was the weekend he got busted. He got busted for like transporting drugs or some shit like that, leaving the Austin airport that Sunday. And that Saturday night, we were talking, and he was like, "Yeah, you need to bomb." He was like, "You need to bomb. You're doing really well. You need to bomb." He's like, "You need to bomb." I was like, "What?" He was like, "No, you trust me. You need to bomb once or twice." To what bombing does is bombing teaches you how to re-engage and pick it back up. You know, how to learn how to handle a bomb. Because if you're just doing, I'm just doing well. And then when the bomb comes, you're like, oh my God, your heart's broken. You know?
Yeah, I mean, is it for resilience, do you think, or is it strictly for, like, Joey Diaz talks about the value of like bombing droughts, where he'll bomb for like weeks at a time, or maybe
that I don't believe.
Really? No. That's what I do. That I'll like
bombing for a week, weeks at a time. That I don't believe in. You should be, if you're bombing a joke, if a joke bombs, let's say once, right?
Okay.
You bomb a set, and then you come the next set, you try the same material and it bombs again, and then you try it again and it bombs again. You need to get rid of that material because that material is not funny.
Okay.
Yeah.
I give a joke 3 chances.
I've gone through a lot of phases like that though, where the same jokes will do really well.
Yeah.
And then for a while, I go through phases where it's just like, and I feel like it kind of is like a domino effect when you're doing well. You're like, oh, I'm doing good.
Yeah.
You also get more confident on stage. And then when you get in one of those like bombing ruts.
Yeah. Yeah. If it's a joke that I know does well, then I probably didn't tell him right.
Yeah.
I rushed it or something like that. If it's a new joke and I'm trying and it is not working, well, then it's funny to me. It's not funny to them. And if a tree falls in a forest and no one hears it, then it actually falls. If you tell a joke and no one laughs, is it a joke?
Yeah.
Yeah. You gotta look yourself in the mirror and give yourself the Billy Sparks speech that no one understands your shit but you.
Right. Personally, I don't believe in bombing just nonstop for weeks. If that happens, I'm like, okay, you gotta step back and do a self-assessment. Like, you do. Are you writing?
I feel like with me, it's an energy thing. When that happens, when I go on those like streaks, it's not even the words coming out of my mouth. Like something fucks up with my energy, and it takes me a minute, and I have to like stop doing comedy for a few days, for a week or something, to like reset, and then
and I've been doing that a lot now. Like I said, is like I'm really trying to get away from you because it just is like if I go like to Sean's room, if I go to hotbed, I can go in there and just plug into the act and I can level it. If I chose to, I can just go in there and say, I'll just do the act and I will fucking murder this room. But what's the point? What's the point? I've murdered enough times over the course of time. What's the point? So let me just not do that. Let me just do all these new ideas I have in my head. I give you one in front. I'll give myself and the audience. We'll both have one in front just to get things greased, and then I'll do one on the back end. I've also been having Sean put me up early. Another challenge.
I do that too.
Put me up early and let me see what I can do. And again, I could going up early. I could just go and plug in and just level this. I stop myself from doing it. I don't want to do that because that's hard because I'm like, I want to hear these laughs. Let me just do these jokes. And I'm like, no,
really,
don't.
It's really hard to manage that. Okay, I could just make people laugh, or I could try something interesting and let myself grow.
Right.
When you're doing well a lot, that can also be scary because it's like, oh, I'm so used to getting these big laughs.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it's not like when I was living in New York and I was doing X amount of sets a night, a week,
Yeah.
I'm also not a guy who believes that, not anymore, that I have to got to be up every night, got to be just grinding. I don't believe that anymore. Yeah. The pandemic knocked that out of me.
Yeah.
Should have knocked that out of all of us. That shit, like I gotta grind. Fuck all that, man.
Yeah.
I don't have time for that. I mean, I go up a lot, but I mean, not like different phases.
Even if you have the time,
you
don't need to be grinding all the time. It's just I don't see not anymore. There's too much. You're not living life.
That's right. You need to live life to be able to write about something.
Right.
Yeah.
You're not reading. You're not watching movies. You're not listening to music. You're not talking to people. You're not interacting with other people.
What is inspiring you?
Good question.
Oh, that is a good question. What inspires me is.
Oh no, I wasn't directly asking that. I was kind of rhetorical.
Oh yeah. What inspires you?
Right. Yeah, good art.
Either way.
But you could answer it too.
It is a good question. It's what inspires me is good art.
Yeah.
It is good art because I want to produce good art, whether it be writing or something. And again, I want to produce good art that people like, not just that I like. Right. Another thing I don't like, Quincy Jones said in his book, any artist who tells you that they don't care if the public likes it is lying to you. So they're not telling you the truth. We all want our work to be liked. It's when your work is not liked, then you start to be defined about, well, you just don't understand. The artist, they don't understand me. I'm an artist. No, you want people to like what you do.
Yeah.
Of course you do. We all do. You know. But I don't want to just produce stuff that just pleases people.
Right.
I'm also kind of of the mindset that Patrice said one time, if 50% of the audience likes you and 50% of the audience hates you, that's comedy.
Yeah.
100% of the audience is liking you, He also said, which I agree with, is just being a boutique act. Like, look, I'm just a boutique act. These people come to see me. If you own a little boutique store and you just sell a certain little thing and people like it, I don't like
that goes back to monetization. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to monetize and be my little boutique.
A little boutique. Yeah. What's those two white dudes that make the same movie all the time? They made
the Coen brothers.
The Coen brothers. Mm-hmm. I don't watch their movies.
No,
their movies aren't for me.
Okay.
That doesn't make them bad movies.
No, I love the movies personally.
Right. They're not for me.
Right.
It's fine. They have a little boutique, Coen brothers. They make boutique movies, or for the PD Suggs of the world. They make boutique movies. For whatever reason, people like it. It's not so much that people like them, is that the industry lets them make these movies, because their movies got to make like 42 cents, maybe. I can't see them making a lot of money. I like the Hughes brothers.
Okay.
Who don't make movies together now the way they used to.
Right.
But I'd rather watch Menace to Society. I watch Menace to Society anytime it comes on. Hughes Brothers. I'd rather watch that. I'd rather watch Dead Presidents.
Watch American Pimp.
Yeah, see, that's Hughes Brothers. I'd rather watch that. Coen Brothers movies don't speak to me. The Hughes Brothers movies speak to me.
Gotcha.
What I'm trying to do is figure out how to write to that.
Right.
Yeah.
Get a niche.
That's the thing I like. So how do I write? That's what's inside of me. The Hughes Brothers isn't inside. The Coen Brothers isn't inside of me. Not that again, one way or the other. I like the Wachowskis, the siblings. I like what they do. Although their last movies have been shit, but early on they were knocking it out of the park.
The Wachowskis, which ones are they? I don't know.
That's
them
the
all.
Matrix.
Wachowski's The Matrix.
Yeah, that's the Matrix. But they also did this one called Jupiter Ascending. Oh my God, that movie's terrible.
Jupiter Ascending. They did the one that was good before they started making everything bad.
That movie's terrible. I think they did this one where people are kind of traveling around through time. It's like Tom Hanks.
Oh, you know what they did too?
Halle
V for
Berry.
Vendetta is them.
Which one?
V for Vendetta.
I remember that
That
one.
did
That
too?
wasn't bad.
Yeah, I
That
think
wasn't
so.
bad. That wasn't bad, but that was just a graphic novel, and they went with the source material. You know, I shouldn't say just. It's hard to
I
adapt
think that's them.
a graphic novel. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think you're right.
Yeah, it's the Wachowskis.
Wachowskis. You know, I don't. When I say I don't like what the Coen brothers do, I don't dislike what they do. I don't anything them.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I don't.
It's not, to your point, it's not for you. And this is I've been doing this with stand-up. That's why I started doing Spanish, and I'm investing way more in Spanish because it's like, it's not for everybody, but it's for me, and it's for a pretty big niche of people.
Yeah, right.
You know?
That's what makes us special. We can't all like the Coen brothers or whatever, you know?
Right.
And
right. And I don't shit on people who like it. I'm like, that's your shit. Good, great. I'll shit on you if you like Drake. What the fuck are you doing?
I like Drake.
Yep. Yeah.
That dude, it's not his
I
music
agree.
now. That guy's got fucking problems now. I don't know what's wrong with that dude. He's
He got too famous, I think.
check into some of the shit he's doing now, where he's shitting.
I haven't listened to the latest album at all. He just
shitting on people, shitting on people who he has no business shitting on. What are you shitting on this brother Spalding for?
What does that make money?
I don't think it's that. We talked about this in our podcast.
I think he has some serious mental issues.
It's him. Thank you, Petey. It's him.
Yeah.
It's not just I'm trying to make money by shitting on his brother Spalding.
I mean, he's been really, I think when you're really famous for a really long time at that level, how does that not fuck with your head?
Sure.
I don't know, because you can look at, because I can look at Tom Hanks and I'm like, there's a nice guy. And he's been famous since I was
There's some exceptions to the rule.
He was Denzel Washington, Tom Hanks, Jamie Foxx. You ain't never heard nobody talk shit about Jamie Foxx.
That's true. Jamie Foxx has been famous for a long time.
You know, Keenan Ivory Wayans. He's another one. He's very low key and behind the scenes. Who's another career I wouldn't mind having. Something in those veins. He's been the driving force of the Wayans family.
I don't know, but when I hear Tom Hanks, then you look at one of his sons. Jesus
you're like,
Christ.
what happened? What happened? Got the older boy who's a great character actor, you know, and then this one. Hey, what happened?
Yeah. Well, every family has one. You know what I mean?
Like I said, the older boy's a great character actor.
The older one.
I'm like, this kid's good. Then you got this motherfucker.
Well, we want to thank Randolph for coming on the Arlington Drafthouse podcast today for his second or third appearance, even though he doesn't believe us.
I don't.
Randolph, let the people know where can they find you?
You can find me at Randolph. Just Google Randolph Terrance, Terrance, Randolph, not F. And Google Randolph Terrance, you will see my Substack pop up. That's where my writings are at. You will see references to Drapetomaniacs will pop up. Go listen to that. You will see the podcast that I've been a part of for many years now, 3 Guys On. That's the word 3 Guys On. We've just now gone over to Spotify. So if you got a Spotify, go on to Spotify.
We love 3 Guys On. We love
go on and say, you guys need to come on back. You will hear Elena's voice dropping in on certain things. Y'all need to come on back on, Peter. I've reached out to Petey and people be fucking it off. Be like, what you doing, man? Oh, I'm doing this. I'm doing that. It's like Petey coming on 3 Guys On is like Petey's stand-up career at this point. That's what it's like. Like, well, I mean, I'm kind of doing it, I guess. I mean,
yeah, medicine. I need it. Yeah, the views of Petey Steele will be back.
Yeah, see, there's no reason for you not to be on. There's no reason for you not to be on. Elena, y'all, you know the door's always open. All you gotta do is
thank you. And you know, I love you guys. I love you guys.
Jump on anytime. Yeah, because the audience loves y'all, and they ask about y'all. I tell you,
we love them. We love them.
Trying to tell you, particularly on the Zooms now. So
yeah, I know them.
That's it. Everybody, hit me up. Hit me up.
All right, you guys can find me on Instagram, Elena Blondita. Find everything about us on the Arlington Drafthouse Instagram page and webpage. Thank you guys so much for being here today. Peace out.
Peace.